She like lighting me up. She like to fire me up. And if that wasn't enough, she said she feel it in the chest. She know it's gotta be love. I ain't repeating the past, I just be speaking the facts. If you be keeping the track, then I'ma leave it on wax. If you 100, then you know that I'm gonna keep it a stack. And if you believe in another nigga, you believe in that. Let's talk about it, let's talk about it. 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 Yeah, just say baby, like baby, you could kick your feet up. We so high, I wonder if they even fucking see us. If you smell the light, it's probably us. I just flip the sippin' at the plug, I gotta re-up. Cause I get it by the day, I ain't stuntin' on you hoes. I just keep on going in, even after when I'm gone. I don't mean to sell a dream, I don't mean to lead you on. If I'm scheming with my team, either with it or you not. Cause I'm a rider, I'm a survivor. Made something out of nothing, MacGyver. Yeah, I'm a rider, I'm a survivor. Oh yeah, got it drippin' like a diver's not a problem. She like lighting me up. She like to fire me up. And if that wasn't enough, she said she feel it in her, so she know it's gotta be love. I ain't with catching felonies, sipping Hennessy is remedy for wild tendencies. Full of they cells, here to tip the glass. Bars acrobatic, built to last. I'm a rhyme meadow G, independent, ain't no label gon' Geppetto me. Shout out to Team Jerk, UBK, DED is green light, broken to the beat. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back.
Genius! Love. Let me start by telling you that I'm ready. Focus if you notice, I notice you niggas petty. This hit like Ho Hogan and you, Marty Jannetty. Ass niggas, one ball from me, consider deadly. How you a boss, but you be taking orders. To the money I trampoline, I'm racing towards it. I'm a problem, I bet my bacon on it. And I'm a big nigga, I bet you faking, homie. Hey. Here I go again, did you miss me? Boston's where I rep, it's my city. I'm always throwing threes, you already. I'm on my A game, ain't no way that I can fall off. That's on dogs, you heard me. I'm a problem, I'm on long, I'm only 32, cut the Palmer song. Give me a second, give me a minute, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Yeah, it's like that, like that. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back. Off and faded, that loud. Styles carbonated, immortal technique. Stretch beats, net sleep. Quick flows, kick them like Taekwondo. Dozing like I'm SWAT on, focusing, I'm quite calm.
Balls equipped with more kick than a pipe bomb. Explosive, that weak pen game, get your dizzy. That's right, acting straight tough. More like State Park. Aiming at you square like a layup. Everybody a hustler. Somehow they all run a trap. Real G's moving silence. To me they all just run a trap. Too many niggas frontin', so I play the back. Fraud you with your hustle, keep it 100, that's a skill you lack. All principle, I'm here to do my thing. Send these freshmen to class like the school bell ring, you dig? I said, all principle, I'm here to do my thing. Send these freshmen to class like the school bell ring, nigga. Yeah, ring.
Roll up.
Mr. DL.
Let a bomb more.
We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep. We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep. This clinch, but I don't really wanna cause harm. Leave they click drenched on anything I drop a bomb on. It's on dog, have them singing a swan song. On guard, disrespect, I'm swinging on all y'all. Fuck face, taking pics with a duck face. And this dude's fucking up, even though I just blazed. We puff haze, add a lime and a Corona light. As we sit here, get high, staring at the northern lights. I'm in the hill, rolling trees, or in Lower Wick D. Had to holler at Russ, cause the vocals are heat. Drinks up, blunts up, this a toast to the G's who been smoking for free because we holding in peace. If my back's against the wall, close to the feet, like a cornered animal, at your throat if we beef. You keyboard warriors, we know that you're weak. If you see us in person, watch your tone when we speak. We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep. We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep.
Hey yo, flag on the field. Bones got broken, helmet popped off and his dome cracked open. Smoking. Bruce Banner and a bamboo. Wreck your life, leave your whole shit in shambles. I pack a punch that'll knock you in a coma. You smell what I'm cooking in pot, it's the aroma. Iller than the illest you heard yet. Stool pigeons wanna snitch till I set up a bird net. Shook shooting your beak off. Murder 3 straight years, only took a week off. Vic slamming your sidekick. Beat down every motherfucker that you ride with. Warrior precise when I'm throwing a spear. Let a bomb off, body parts blowing in the air. So sincere you can take it to the bank. Blow with the fist or take it to the shank.
We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep. We're about to bomb on them. Yeah, we're moving the earth. Calling out whack rappers, tell the truth and it hurts. And bring the squad on them. Yeah, we're gonna roll deep. And if we meet on the beat, somebody's going to sleep.
Bells, they still ring. Bells, they still ring. Doing my thing. Doing my thing. Bells, they still ring. Bells, they still ring. Doing my thing. Doing my thing. Bells, bells, bells.
Yeah, ring.
Whoa. 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 Who that?
to the AK. Point blank, won't throw straight. Where I'm from, yeah, we don't trade. Got rappers yelling Mayday, Mayday. Whoa, 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 who that? Whoa, 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 who that? BL to the AK. Point blank, won't throw straight. All these rappers got no name. Yo spots, not my aim. Call up Scoop, need that flame. Hit the booth, ooh, that bang. Hit the block, to the stage. Off the roof, blew that thing. Call me Jesus, I got game. All my dogs off that chain. Front of Brock, rep the South. Green light be that gang. With my crew, you can't hang. In the booth, do my thing. Come to flows, with these bars. Bitch a kick like Wadang. Smoking on that Girl Scout mixed with that Afghan. Rhymes get all up in your head like a CAT scan. Giving these rappers the blues like a jazz band. Pimping with this penmanship, giving these beats.
Can I get you something?
It's your mofo butter laying me to the bone, jacking me up. Tight me.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang.
Oh, stewardess, I speak jive.
Oh, good.
He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right, would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine.
Just hang loose, blood. She's gonna catch up on the rebound on the med side.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama didn't raise no dummies. I duck her rap.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
Say cutting when she only say we say be doing everything.
Chump don't wanna help, Chump don't get the help.
Say can't hang, say 7 up.
Jive ass dude don't got no brains anyhow.
This is Beyond Marie, and you're listening to Hoobazoo.com.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This is blasphemy. This is madness. This is the booth.
Staring down, looking at the blood-stained concrete. You're the dead MC, lying at my feet. You took a 9mm rhyme straight to your mind. Damn, my better split. This is my time, so I make my way up the block. Get to home base and lock that up. Crack the Cohasset and grab the phone. Call one of my troops up. Hope the soldier's homie says, yo, what's up, what's going on? Make it quick, cause I'm trying to get my Stella on. Go. Your girl, I'm in the... These lyrical assassins tried to pull a hit, and then boom, came a noise from the other room. It was the boys in blue with the SWAT crew. They got us locked up for lyrical murder. It's one of them charges that you never heard of. It's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, we're killing all your podcasts like the HIV virus. You want to battle this kid? Huh, don't even try this. Back the up, think again, count to 10. You want to grab that mic just to get done in? It's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth.
Was he African?
African.
No. He was American, and he was like you. He looked just like you.
He was Jewish.
Just like
okay.
him.
Jew.
Okay.
It's an odd crime for a Jew to commit.
Pretty docile.
Okay, so we have an African Jew wearing a hoodie.
No, you don't.
No.
That's not what I said. Is that what you heard me say? I said he looked like you. Do you look like an African Jew?
No, I look like a cop.
Yeah.
He was Caucasian.
Boom. All right, your boy Sinister One broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are listening to The Booth. It is now November 17th, 2020. And as you can see, I've got my special guest with me on there, already to the left side of me. And first, before I get into who's with me tonight, I got to give a big thanks and a special shout out to my man Kenyon Glover, who was on the show with me last week. We did some acting with Kenyon Glover. He was on to promote his new book, The Rebirth and Resurrection of a New Man, and also his Faithful and Focused clothing line, which was a great piece of clothing line for him to share with us. He had t-shirts, he's got hats, he's got all this stuff out there. So you want to make sure you check him out at www.kenyonglover.net. I want to check him out. And again, I got to thank him for coming on. We did a scene from New Jack City. It was great stuff. Also down here in the left-hand corner, Michael Douglas Barreto, MDB Electronics. They take care of my controllers. You send them out within 24 hours, 48 hours, I've got my controller back. Depending where you are in the United States, he can get things back to you within 24 to 48 hours. It's $35 for a controller, and Elite controllers are a little bit more. But the thing is that once you get your controller repaired from him, it is good for a lifetime guarantee. So say like if your stick drifts or whatever like that, and it happens again, you just send it right back to him. He fixes it for free. So you're back into the game. So I've got like 2, 3, 4 controllers that I rotate from. And also in this left side, as you can see, is my guest, Christopher Bazile. Christopher, let them know who you are, what you do, where you go to school, and why you're on here tonight real quick.
Yo, Keith, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on. Thank you very much. My name is Chris Bazile, everybody. I'm a student at Bridgewater State University, college student, and I'm looking to pursue career in sports, and I'm also a psychology minor. So whichever field leads me to my path, I'll be happy about it.
Nice. Oh, I didn't know that about psychology. Damn.
Yeah, I'm a psychology minor. I'm studying psychology a little bit right now, but I plan to pursue sports.
We might need you to kind of break down Antonio Brown after this concussion, the troubles and things that he goes through. He's in a little bit of trouble again. He broke a security camera down inside of his gated community. They didn't really press any charges, but again, the incident happened just prior to him signing. And, of course, everybody's like this all of a sudden. But again, if you go back to the history of Antonio Brown and his problems all started and stemmed from that hit that he took when he was on the Steelers and he suffered a serious concussion. Do you remember that incident?
Yeah, was that hit? That was in 2010 or?
Yeah, it was around that time. Yeah, it was around that time. He took the vicious hit, and unfortunately, Antonio Brown has not been the same since. He's been riddled with a ton of bad behavior, erratic behavior. And the problem is that in the NFL, we've seen kind of where this trail kind of goes when we have these players who have these problems and these issues. Hey, what's going on, David Haggerty? You got a lot of people in the chat. Ryan Johnson, Michelle Moore, Scott Lafrada. What's going on in the chat? We got a good show ahead of us tonight. As I said, guest Christopher Bazile is going to be on with me, and what we're going to do is we're going to get right into this show. We're going to get right into the news booth, and as you guys can see in the center here, that's our little slideshow that I got going on here. As you can see, some photos that are going to be about the topics that we are talking about tonight. But right now, we're going to get right into the show. Going to get right into the news booth that you see right below us here. Lawsuit claims ex-head of Brockton Youth Baseball League is being charged with embezzling $64,000. Jim Mederios of the Downey Youth Baseball League has been named for embezzling $64,000 from the organization. I live on the East Side, Ward 5, where Downey Youth organization is. And one of the questions that I have is that for years, Brockton has had a lot of talent in youth baseball, and we've always felt like Brockton should have unified and got themselves so they could play in the World Series League, in the baseball league, the Babe Ruth League, so we could qualify for, a trip to the World Series. It never happened because we've always kept our leagues separate. There's always been this thing where they never wanted to join, and now some are saying this is part of the reason as to why the leagues never merged into one to give us that chance. They're accusing Jim of stealing this money. The other issue here is Jim Medeiros was also in the headlines just about let's say about 5 months ago. He accidentally posted on the Downey Youth Baseball League. He posted some racist comments in regards to the NFL players kneeling and some things of that sort. And he was very vocal on that Downey page. What happened was is he posted on the Downey page, not realizing that he wasn't on his own personal page. And that struck the ire of many of the board members of the youth organization, and they actually called for him to step down. So I wouldn't be surprised that this whole thing about the embezzling had come out of him stepping down, and then they probably got control of the books. This is all my assumption. They got control of the books, and they started doing this checking, but I guess they've got bank records and things of such sort. And the other thing is, too, I was involved with youth sports, and his wife was the treasurer. Now, for me, a lot of people in youth sports are volunteers. Let's just mention that first and foremost. A lot of people don't really have business savvy, and they run these organizations the best of their abilities. And a lot of times, you see this type of stuff happens across the country. A lot of youth sports organizations people are 501(c)(3)s. They're nonprofit organizations, which means they're supposed to run, to the bare minimums and be able to operate it, and if there's any profit, it always has to go to the children, so it can always be accounted for. Lots of times what happens in the youth sport organizations is a lot of people don't know the laws. They don't know the rules. So when you see something like this gentleman here, Jim Mederios, who was the president of the league, and then his wife was the treasurer, right off the bat, that's a conflict of interest. If you run a youth organization and you have the president and a treasurer who are the same, it's something to be questioned. It just doesn't look good. It's unprofessional. It should be questioned right away. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. If you have somebody in the seats of a youth organization, there should be a different person not connected in each seat, so you don't draw this scrutiny to yourselves. Are you familiar with any youth sports over there, Chris? Have you been involved?
Yeah, I'm familiar with youth sports. I played youth sports when I was a kid. A lot of sports. I played football, basketball, soccer, baseball. Yeah, and I've never been in that type of situation. Generally, yeah, I've always just enjoyed this. Enjoyed the sport I played as a kid.
And it's tough because you're able to enjoy the sport as a kid, and that's the great part of it. But anybody who will tell you that has been involved with youth sports from that parent level, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It is tough. It is tough. Dave Haggerty is actually in the chat. What's up, Dave Haggerty? He said POS. We all know what the POS stands for. And you know what? Innocent until proven guilty. But you know what? The courts will have their day, and we'll see from there what happens. Moving on in the news booth. I've been spending a lot of time on my personal social media unfriending a lot of people. Hashtagging and unfriending a lot of people, because a lot of people on social media right now pissing me off. And one of the reasons why you're pissing me off is because you're doing too much on social media and aggravating me. One of the examples is, this election, and some people have gotten a little racial, and I've had to hashtag unfriend them. Last week, the new Xbox came out, new PlayStation came out. I've been an Xbox fan for a long time. A lot of people that weren't even gamers are out here now sharing in the fact that they've got Xboxes and stuff. Guess what? Hashtag unfriended. I'm not putting up with this. And now, today, Cinnabon, which is located in the Westgate Mall, Cinnabon, which is that place when you walk into the mall and the smell floats through the mall and picks you up by the nose like in the cartoons and drags you there. Cinnabon is now selling the frosting that they put on their Cinnabons by the pint for just $5. $5. And people are tagging me because they know how much I love Cinnabons. And I haven't gone to Cinnabon since they opened, because I know if I go to Cinnabon in Westgate Mall, Chris, I'm done. You're not going to see me for at least 3, 4, 5 days from Cinnabon. You walk in there and you know the smell when you walk in the mall and you smell that Cinnabon cooking.
Yeah, I'm a Cinnabon fan myself. I love Cinnabons, yeah.
But being able to go and buy just the frosting to put on whatever you want. And Thanksgiving's coming, man. I mean, you going to head down? You think you might go down and get yourself some frosting there?
Definitely.
And it's one of these things that, I'm like, if I go and break the seal, it's a wrap. I just can't go. Continuing on in the news booth. Look, people, and Chris can tell you because he's a student, and right now, you know, a lot of the campuses are locked down, you know, and a lot of reasons why a lot of schools are going remote is because, one, the numbers are climbing and people just can't follow the friggin' news. People can't just follow the simple rules on top of the news. We got some chat coming up. What's up, fellas? Glad to have you all be on my show and join in the booth. That's in the chat for us. What's up, guys? Ruffin Thomas is in the chat. Wiseman TV, what's going on? But real quick, the rules are there for a reason. Now, I talked about this on the show when everybody was calling Baker a sleazebag. They were saying everything under the sun about Baker, and it's like, but Baker just makes the rules. The rules are there for everybody to follow. So here's this story here in Cohasset, Mass, where a couple was fined $500 because they were throwing a party last weekend with over 20 kids, and they went to the house at like 11 o'clock at night, and these kids and everybody was partying, and this is what they call these super spreader events. You know, and this was the reason why they want people to be remote learning, because people are throwing parties. They don't care. You know, a lot of these colleges that weren't remote are now remote. Why? Because they threw this big party. Like in Westwood, they threw a big party. Out in Marlboro, the college threw a big party. Then the cops showed up, kegs. You know, people start drinking. They don't care. They're kissing all over each other. I mean, for you, you're straight
uneducated on it.
You're straight, but you're remote learning right now, Bridgewater State, right? Bridgewater hasn't opened it back up to the public, have they? And what are they projecting?
Bridgewater State opened up the campus, but no learning inside the campus, just remote learning, online learning. Yeah, just I guess if you need borrow a book or so, the library is open, but honestly, no students pretty much in campus at all. A very little amount of students, just faculty, honestly.
And are the police really hardcore on the parties around campus? If there's any talk or anything,
yeah.
Are they starting to fine those students if they're caught? Because I know they're supposed to issue now a $300 fine if you're caught at a party, as of last week. So, as a student, you probably you probably don't want to get caught on that one.
Students can't party in this type of time. They just can't. It's really not smart.
No, it's not. It's not. And the problem here is this issue here in Cohasset, it was younger kids. It was parents, and the parents were actually fined $500. If these were adults or teens at this party, it would have been $300 for every kid at that party if they were able to be fined. So thankfully, all these kids were young. But again, the numbers are climbing. People, you just can't keep doing this. You just can't keep doing this. Heading on to the legal booth. The Election Security Group is a group that oversees the elections across the country. Last week, we had our election. Joe Biden won and was declared winner just this past weekend, the projected winner. We had some recounts in Georgia, recounts in Pennsylvania. We had some recounts in Arizona. I'm going to talk about this later in the show because some of these recounts that have happened, the judges who are overseeing the recounts in these cases are throwing these cases out of court. Trump got his butt kicked in court this weekend, so we're going to get into those numbers. But this election security group that oversees all of the elections across the country, they just came out and they just said that there was no reports of any lost votes or any voting systems that were deleted, which was what was being said during Trump's rants all week, Twitter, and I'm going to get into it. So just keep an eye on this. This is a legal issue. When you stop making dangerous accusations such as President Trump did, it's not good. It's not a good look. And you throw in a lot of people who are loyal under the bus. Moving on also in the entertainment booth now, Donnie Wahlberg kept the hashtag 2020 tip challenge going. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the hashtag Tip Challenge 2020, but this is a challenge to celebrities that when they go out to eat during this time of COVID to try to tip their server $2,020. Hashtag 2020 Tip Challenge. So
that's a pretty good idea. I like it.
Yeah. So you not only keeping the spirit going, but you're helping out a waiter or a waitress who might be a student, and needs that money. So he was in Marshfield, and his server's name was Denise Andrews. She waited on Donnie Wahlberg down at this restaurant, and when he was done, he tipped her $2,020. She was very happy at the fact that Mr. Wahlberg, who he's been a stand-up guy. Mr. Wahlberg, Donnie Wahlberg, has been a stand-up guy. I call him Mr. Wahlberg. He's younger than me, him and his brother used to be around here in Brockton all the time. But I call him Mr. Wahlberg. He's a business owner. They've turned that Wahlburgers into an empire. And, I am glad to see what he's doing. I'm glad to see that he's a such stand-up guy from Massachusetts. Are you familiar with Donnie Wahlberg? In Wahlbergers?
Yeah, Donnie Wahlberg. I have little knowledge of him, but I know everybody knows his brother, Mark Wahlberg, this super fat actor from Boston.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're a good pair of siblings. Yeah, very successful men. That's great.
Yep, and he comes from that New Kids on the Block, and I have to mention it because I don't want these women hit me up in the chat and be all over my butt because I didn't mention the fact that Donnie Wahlberg was one of the original members of New Kids on the Block. They'll be coming for me because they got a rabid fan base, so I got to mention them. Also, in local entertainment news, Lisa Bello, who is the sister of Louis Bello, she's got a new album coming out. That album is going to drop next month. I'm going to see what I can do and pull some strings and maybe see if I can get Lisa on this show, maybe break her new single on this. It's a self-titled album. It's due out next month. Also in the entertainment booth, local wrestler. If you look from the left, the second wrestler, you will see Mr. Anthony Green, a.k.a. August Gray in the WWE. NXT, he is making a lot of good strides. He's making a lot of noise in the WWE. This is a kid that if you go on my YouTube page and there's a video of me doing a stunner, a Sinister One stunner to a dirty ref from Cardinal Spellman. That dirty ref, the young kid from 5, maybe 6 years ago, is this kid right here, Anthony Green. I wish all the best luck to him as he is now on NXT. He's now prime time on the show, and we are expecting nothing but the best from him, and I'm hoping he does very well. Also in the entertainment booth, inside the final days of Quibi. Quibi was a streaming service that you watched on your phone. And it had some great shows. Free Ray Sean, the Most Wanted. They had 50 States of Fright, a ton of great shows. Dummy, a ton of great shows. The problem with Quibi was it was the same thing as here when Kurt Schilling started 38 Studios to make a video game. And instead of keeping your money tight and making a video game and waiting till it becomes successful, Kurt Schilling went and bought this big building in Rhode Island and paid everybody all types of money and went bankrupt and had to shut this down. And the game was, I forget what the name of the game was that he had created, something of the Reckoning. And it was a good game, but the problem was he spent all the money. Rumors here is that this was the same thing with Quibi. Quibi bought leased a big space before COVID just hit. And they had all these celebrities coming in there and doing all types of stuff and paying all these people these elaborate amounts of money, salary. And unfortunately, Quibi, COVID hit. They ran out of money, and Quibi is now on the way out only after 6 months. I'm hoping that Apple TV or somebody would buy up these shows that are on Quibi. I don't know if you're familiar with Quibi, Chris. Have you ever watched any shows on Quibi at all?
No, I haven't. No.
If you get a chance before, because it ends.
Yeah, Quibi is like a outlet.
Yeah, it's a streaming service on your phone, and they had some really good shows. Actually, they had 2 shows pick up Emmys on there. One of them was Free Ray Sean, which had a great cast. It was about a young black man who was a veteran who got tied up in some dealings with crooked cops, and they tried to frame him for the death of another cop. And everything on Quibi is, they're 6-minute episodes, so you can blow through, like you can binge watch real quick. So if you get a chance, check out Quibi. It's on its way out. It's going to be gone by the end of the month, and I'm kind of sorry to see it go. Also in entertainment news, Netflix has announced that they're renewing Space Force for season 2, and it will get a creative revamp. The reason why I'm sharing this story and why it's so funny to me is because Space Force was the name of the program that Trump claimed when he restarted the NASA program after becoming president. It's funny that President Trump has lasted one term while Space Force itself will go 2 seasons. I just found that to be uncanny and funny. Also in entertainment news, rapper-singer Jeremih is fighting for his life, ICU, COVID-19. Look, people, this is what we were just talking about. 33 years old. He's in ICU. He's on a ventilator. It's not looking good. 50 Cent tweeted today that he was doing a little better, but he's still in the danger zone. And it's scary because this is what Dr. Fauci said. The younger people coming around is going to be this big second wave if we didn't take care of it. And this is what it is. The 30 and under, that 40 and under, they're getting hit. And, my prayers go out and hope for Jeremih to recover from COVID-19. If you guys remember, we lost Fred the Godson, the rapper. We lost him earlier this year to COVID-19. We've lost a few people to COVID-19. So, are you familiar with rapper Jeremih?
Yeah, Jeremih. Yeah, I'm familiar with rapper Jeremih. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's tough because that's the guys you grew up with, and it's tough to see someone like that fighting for his life at 33 years old from COVID-19. And it was batted around that this disease is fine, it doesn't affect anybody. So heading into our last story in the entertainment booth and heading into the sports booth, where I'm going to let Chris have some stuff to talk about. Closing out the entertainment booth and heading into the sports booth, R&B singer The Weeknd is going to headline the Super Bowl halftime show. Now, I'm pretty excited about this because I'm a big Weeknd fan, like a lot of people around here are. But the thing is that if you're a Weeknd fan, and if you know what he does visually, you're going to be sitting around on Monday morning and you're going to have to explain to people who don't know anything about The Weeknd and what he does visually, what exactly the hell went on during the Super Bowl halftime show. Because, he's got his head cut off in this new video that he's been doing. The head has progressed through each video. I can just hear Monday mornings now. Hey, that Weeknd guy, his music was pretty good, but what the hell was going on with that performance? Are you familiar with The Weeknd, Chris?
Yeah, I love The Weeknd. He's one of my favorite music artists right now. He's one of my favorite music artists right now. I love a lot of his music. He's a very down to earth singer, very very passionate, sensual. I love The Weeknd. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping
he makes great music.
Yeah, and
very talented as well.
They said he's going to bring a lot of cameos to this performance. Again, the Super Bowl is going to be held in Tampa Bay, and it's only going to be half capacity. So he's performing for half a capacity. So it's going to be different. It's going to be a great show. Also, getting into the sports booth, breaking news, Kim Ng, she is now the GM for the Miami Marlins. She is the first female GM. She's the first Asian American GM, and people don't know who she is. She's been in this business for decades, for almost 30 years. She was vice president of the Dodgers. She knows her stuff, and I'm going to let Chris, because Chris is a sports guy, I'm going to let him get into this and just talk about how big this is for her to take over that Miami Marlins team.
Yeah, it is very big for her to take over the Miami Marlins team. Kim Ng, she actually been in the business, as you said, for decades. She was a part-time manager with the White Sox and the Yankees. She actually won a few World Series with the Yankees and at the turn of the century. So that's very good for her. She's knowledgeable and she's skillful of the occupation. So she definitely deserves it, and hope she does well and win some games for the Miami Marlins, probably a World Series. And so who knows? Yeah, I think it was a good choice. Kim Ng is a good choice. It's kind of a shift in the turn of the atmosphere, having a woman manage a baseball team. So it's a great choice, honestly.
Yeah, we've been seeing this. We've been seeing a lot of women take that transition. We've seen the defensive coordinator for San Fran as a female out there, the assistant defensive coordinator. So we've seen this type of transition happening in sports, and I'm proud to see it. I'm glad to see it. Also in the sports booth, dancing in the rain, Patriots. I picked the Patriots to lose this game. I had picked them to lose this game, but the Ravens came in here. And I'll tell you something, Mother Nature was the 12th man in this game. There were a lot of things that played into this victory for the Patriots on Sunday night. One, Mother Nature. The Patriots were prepared for the weather. The Ravens weren't. They had 3, 4, maybe 5 bad snaps that hurt them at the and it wasn't like they had bad snaps, on first or second. They had bad snaps when they had just converted. They were about to go 3rd and short, and there's a bad snap. Lamar Jackson gets downed 20 yards back. There was just some bad stuff there. Then the last drive, Lamar Jackson's got the ball. They've got less than a minute to go, but anything could happen with Lamar Jackson. And all of a sudden, it was like the skies opened up, the wind goes sideways, and it was like monsoon conditions. You couldn't see nothing, and that just killed the Ravens' drive. And and then the other thing was too is that there was some weird play calling there from as far as the Ravens go, that they gave the Patriots back the ball a couple of times there that I felt was some poor play calling. But again, Cam Newton leads this team to victory, but the Patriots win on the ground as usual. And for everybody who talks about the Patriots winning this game on the ground, if you go back historically, the Patriots always win games on the ground from November and out. Belichick usually throws the hell out of the ball the first half of the season, keeps his runners with fresh legs, and then he unleashes the running game, usually around late November into the playoffs, so they can have this. Now, right now, Sony Michel is still out. Sony Michel isn't back yet, but this kid, Damian Harris, has been running the ball well. Rex Burkhead, running the ball well. Jacoby Myers, look, Jacoby Myers, who was on, I don't know where Jacoby Myers was last year, but the Jacoby Myers that we got this year, oh man, Jacoby. He's a totally different wide receiver. He's getting good looks. Teams really aren't really respecting him right now because he really wasn't that threat. But I think after this Ravens game, I'm expecting to see some better coverage on Jacoby Myers coming up in this game against the Texans. I'm hoping they do a better job. But the key here is that you got to stop the run. And I felt out of all the games this season, I felt this was Josh McDaniels' best offensively coached game this season. Do you agree with that? I think he really mixed it up well and wasn't predictable. I felt he wasn't predictable at all this week.
Yeah, it was it was Josh McDaniels' best coach game. It was probably one of our more impressive victories of the season. It made us back in the playoff race. We would have been a bit out of it if we didn't win this game. Yeah, Jacoby Myers, as you said, he actually played quarterback in high school, so he has some throwing talent in him. Yeah, the Patriots, as you said, we can beat you in a number of ways. Honestly, we're a threatening and scary team. Cam Newton running, Jacoby Myers. I like Demir Bird, honestly. Our defense is really good. I think we have one of the best secondaries in the league. J.C. Jackson had a pick in that game, interception.
Yeah. 5. He's leading the league now in interceptions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's one of the best coverage corners in the DBs in the league.
Well, they got a problem because when Gilmore comes back, and the word's not good about Gilmore, because they're saying this is contract issues now. But if Gilmore was to come back, I'm looking for Gilmore to come back probably on their next big game. I don't expect them to see him for the Texans, but I think he'll be here for Arizona when Arizona comes.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Ooh, DeAndre Hopkins, so that'll make a lot of sense.
So you got to get whatever straight for that game. But like I said, the Patriots, and let's be honest here, people. Let's be real honest, people. They almost had Seattle. They really almost had Seattle beat. That was a good game. They almost had KC beat. Let's be honest here. And then if you go back to last week's game, where he fumbled the ball in the Buffalo game, They were driving. They were driving on Buffalo. He fumbles that ball, but I think if he doesn't fumble that ball, they score and they win that game. So now you're looking at 7, and you know what I'm saying? So realistically, the one really bad loss is that one really bad loss. Other than that, those other games are on the fence. They could have went either or. So the Patriots are still.
And also the Buffalo game as well. Well, Cam Newton fumbled when we were about to score. The Buffalo game, the last second fumble.
Yeah. And like I said, so people keep an eye on this team. This is a team that you got a force to be reckoned with. And also, people, stop clowning my man. Stop clowning Cam. He's rocking the fez after the game during the press conference. He's a style fashionista. And you know what? It's nice to kind of see something like that after a game. It's something to talk about. He's having fun with it. I'm good with it. So, but that's his outfit. Everybody's clowning on him. Every radio station is bringing it up. So I had to just tonight. I don't do it every night. I just had to bring it up tonight and mention Cam's outfit. I think it's tight. I'd rock it. Would you rock that fez with the green? That's a tight color. That's a tight outfit right there.
Man. I don't know. Cam rocks some pretty outlandish and heavy outfits. I don't know.
I'm a rocket. I'm not gonna lie, yo. Anybody who knows me as a person, Sinister One, they know I would rock something just like that. They would be like, "Yo, Keith, you'd wear that." Trust and believe me. What's up, Steve Noyce? I see you in the chat. TYEA, what's going on? I see you in the chat. Also, moving on in the sports booth. Yo, history is about to be made. Monday Night Football game, Rams, and I forget who else is playing, but that night it will be the first all-black officiating crew to work a Monday Night Football game. If you guys know, Jerome Boger is well known in the NFL. He's one of the best referees out there. And they will be coaching the Rams-Bucks game next Monday night. So a lot of New Englanders will be tuning in because they're going to want to see Tom Brady in this game on Monday Night Football. And what about those Bucks, man? You get Tom Brady, and all of a sudden you got all these primetime games. The money is now rolling in from your TV revenue because the Bucks weren't getting on any TV national televised games anywhere. Now all of a sudden they're getting all that money. So that was a win-win for Tampa Bay. Who do you like in this game coming up on Monday night? Bucks and Rams.
Ooh, wow, that's a good one. Wow. Yeah, Jared Goff versus Tom Brady. They actually met in the Super Bowl. I think the talent between those two teams are pretty quite even. They both have great defenses. I like the Rams defense. The Buccaneers have a great defense. The Buccaneers have the better offense. Ronald Jones ran for almost 200 yards last Sunday against Carolina. That was a hell of a performance he had. Yeah, Tom Brady had 300 plus yards passing and 3 scores with no picks in that game. But they did their job that game. That Rams game, they got to Russell Wilson. They kind of confused them a bit. That game's gonna come down to the wire. I think I'll go with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I think Tampa Bay could get it.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a close kind of scoring game.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is looking to take this advantage, and they really need to take this advantage now because they had split with New Orleans, and I had said that New Orleans was going to become Tom Brady's Miami of the AFC South. And when I say that is because up here, when Tom Brady was in the AFC East during his career here, he always, no matter what the record was, he always split with Miami year after year after year after year. It didn't matter. So this year I've said, New Orleans is going to be that team for Tom Brady every year. But now Tom Brady can breathe a little easier because Drew Brees went down this weekend, broken ribs, collapsed lung. He's done. He's probably done for the season. He's probably not going to be back at all. So we'll see what happens. Now they've got a little bit of controversy down there. Do they go with Hill or do they go with Jameis Winston? I think you go with Hill. I think Hill's the hot hand. I hate to say this, I don't think you can trust Jameis Winston heading out for this second half of the season with the amount of picks that this guy threw last year and the year before. It's one of these things where I think you got to go with Hill and stick with Hill. Who do you like? What do you think they should be doing?
Taysom Hill, I like Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is just a dual threat quarterback. He's a very instinctive and smart football player. He kind of reminds me of a Bronco Nagurski back in the 1920s. So that's the type of football he is. Type of football player he is. Jameis Winston's kind of I don't know. He's kind of an inconsistent quarterback. I think kind of inconsistent. He did lead the league in passing yards last year, I believe. But I think you can rotate them, give each a shot during games, and see who's the better quarterback.
The problem is it never works out. It never works out in the NFL when you try to rotate quarterbacks. People's feelings, they get butt hurt, and then they get feelings. Matty Cameron, Matty C, Sports for You and Me says, did I not predict the Nola versus Bucks pending playoff situation? Yes, you did. It was actually on this show. We actually broke it down and talked about that. It's a great situation, but like we said, we talked, me and you and Matt, we talked about this other unforeseen COVID that can also hurt a team. The Patriots were lucky to get their COVID outbreak early on and recover from it, and now they can just look ahead and make sure it doesn't come back. But again, San Fran had to put people on the COVID list last week. Green Bay had some COVID players on the list. So, the thing here is like, now you got to worry about the COVID hitting these teams in these later weeks. I'd hate to see teams come down with COVID in week 13, 14, 15. It's crucial. And to be honest, I don't even agree with the NFL extending the playoff numbers because of COVID. I think it should stick with 14 teams to make the playoffs, but they've decided that because of COVID, they want to give 2 more teams a chance to get into the playoffs. I think the NFL is using COVID as an excuse to do something that they've been wanting to do like every other league, and that is add 2 more teams to the playoff tree come, January. I've always felt that the 14 teams was perfect. I think 2 more teams added in, I think it just weakens it weakens the playoff tree in my point. I think everybody that makes the playoffs deserves to make those playoffs. You add those 2 extra teams outside the wild cards. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. And if you look at something like the NFC East, where it's just a mess, and you could end up having a team that's just barely 500. Yeah, so you would end up with
they don't deserve it.
Yeah, you would probably end up with 2 garbage. In my opinion, you probably end up with 2 garbage teams filling those 2 spots. Is it really worth the ratings, even under COVID? I don't know. I'd love to sit Goodell down and ask them why they think. They voted on it. The league voted on it. They want it. I guess I don't know. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it at all. I don't see the benefit of it other than gambling and in fantasy sports. I just don't see the real benefit of adding the 2 teams. Patriots have the Texans. They're going to go down to the Texans next weekend. It's going to be a tough game for them. But the Texans don't have D-Hop anymore, but they're still playing good ball. But, again, when you go down and play in these places where there's not many fans in the stands, it comes down to playing good football. And what we saw on Sunday night, the Ravens didn't play good football against the Pats, and they also had a crucial major injuries. They lost the cornerback and the nose tackle on that touchdown pass by Jacoby Myers. They lost 2 players on that play. They had 2 Ravens players go down, the cornerback and the nose tackle. Neither one came back. They were out, and they're already a hurt team. So the key here with the Patriots is they got to go down there against the Texans and play mistake-free football, number one. Now, behind the scenes, the Texans have had their own problems with, they let Bill O'Brien go. It was a real ugly situation down there. They haven't really recovered from that drama down there yet. Do you think the Patriots can go down there in Houston, Texans, and take this win if they play error-free football? Or do you think that the Patriots – because I think the Patriots were underdogs at 2, and now they're favored at 2.5 after beating the Ravens. Who you like in this game?
Yeah, I'll take this game. The best football team. I think the subtraction of DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's one of the main reasons why they've won only 2 games. The Houston Texans. Yeah, it's been a weird season for them. They lost a lot of close games. Deshaun Watson kind of struggled a bit. They lost to Cleveland in Cleveland, a game they should have won. And that type of game was a monsoon with lightning. The New England Patriots could definitely win in Houston. It should probably be a close game or more of a stretcher game. But the Patriots should win if we play mistake-free football.
Okay. All right. And now here's my props time where I'm going to get ready to turn this show a little bit over to my man Chris here. I'm going to let him talk about the NBA. The NBA actually is getting ready to enter the drafts next weekend. But right now, today, we're in the trade deadline for the NBA, and there is a lot of discussion going on. There's some rumors about James Harden going to Brooklyn. Gordon Hayward wasn't happy here. That was the rumor here. They were saying that Celtics may put some moves out there for Gordon Hayward, but it's been pretty quiet. Break it all down for us, man. Chris, this is your floor. Let's hear about the NBA and your thoughts on the upcoming, it's kind of closing out trade deadline and the upcoming draft.
Yeah, the trade deadline. There's been some talks that the Celtics we need an all-star big man. We've been kind of struggling on the boards, honestly. I think an all-star big man would be a great fit for the Celtics. That'll increase our physicality a bit. But I do like Robert Williams and Daniel Tice. They kind of do fill the void, but I think an all-star big man will kind of make sense for us.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics upcoming this season, I think we'll make the playoffs again. We have a strong core. I'm a little surprised that Gordon Hayward wasn't quite happy here, honestly.
Well,
he was injured during the playoffs.
Yeah. I think what happens is Gordon Hayward is that type of player that's like some players we've had here on the Red Sox and some players we've had on the Patriots. So you've got some people, when they come here to New England, they don't realize how rabid of a sports base we are. And some guys, they don't like having a playoff atmosphere every night. They don't like having the press be in your face every day. Exactly. They like being in these small little markets where, nobody really kind of cares about you. You can go out and eat dinner somewhere and not be bothered. Boston is a whole different beast. It's a different beast. So that was kind of the rumor about Gordon Hayward behind the scenes.
Yeah, Boston's that type of city. It's like it's a bad blood city. It's a big market. We're gonna come at you if you're not producing. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people...
and going on about the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about the draft. I think the NBA draft should be. I think it's a real talented class, honestly. James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, and Anthony Edwards, Cole Anthony, several other players. Yeah, it's a real talented class. Strong players. Some of those guys will obviously be a difference makers for their teams. Honestly, James Wiseman kind of reminds me of a Kevin Garnett. Honestly, how fluid he is, smooth, fast, athletic. He plays kind of like Kevin Garnett. And Anthony Edwards kind of reminds me of a young Dwayne Wade. Honestly, with how skillful he is with the ball, he's quick. He can shoot from the long range. Yeah, LaMelo Ball. Everybody talks about LaMelo Ball. He's his percentage in the draft, so you have to be careful drafting him. But I think it'll probably take some time for him to adapt in the league and probably figure it out after some workout skills, some drills, and just following the NBA codes. But yeah, I think the NBA draft is a strong draft class, and let's see how it'll turn out.
Nice. And before we move on to our next topic, 7:48, because I want to make sure I'm off at 8:00 tonight, because Matt Cameron, who was in the chat, Matty C Sports for You and Me, he's got a player from the Ravens on his show this week. So if he wants to drop that in the chat, that'd be great. Oh, breaking news: Trump fires official who debunked voting fraud conspiracy. Oh man, Trump. Yeah, I'm going to be getting into Trump troubles real quick before we get out of the sports booth, man. Boxing recently has been picking up a lot of ratings. A lot of boxing fights have been on nationally televised TV under COVID. For some reason, boxing has been getting a lot of people back into watching that sport. They had a big fight last weekend. They've got a big fight coming up this weekend. We got a local kid here, Michael Ohan, who fights out of sports fighting in Whitman, I believe.
Where's he from?
Yeah, he's fighting. He's fighting a fight coming up in the next couple of weeks. I know you follow boxing somewhat. Why do you see this resurgence in watching this resurgence in boxing during this COVID period? I mean, we see it in MMA, but it's come out of nowhere, and the networks are really promoting the hell out of these boxing matches.
Yeah, it's great to see a resurgence in boxing during the COVID times. I think they kind of put it in the right spot. The Saturday night time slot on 8 o'clock on ESPN. That's a great time slot. It is competing with college football at that time, but always turned to boxing. So yeah, it's a pretty good watch, honestly.
Well, it was one of the sports the first of the sports to come back because it was one-on-one. It was held in the gyms. There was no crowds. It was like MMA. A lot of people jumped on MMA because MMA and boxing came back when there was nothing else going on. Football was in its off season. At that time, hockey and basketball wasn't being played. There was really no sports out there. So when you got those sports on TV, new viewers turned in to see these sports, and then now I think that plays into that, that surge of what we're seeing now. But boxing, which really never left, but boxing really needed that TV boost, in my opinion. I think they really need to get back on TV, and seeing boxing on TV is great for me. So I'm happy all around to see boxing back. And I've always said it, Well, Floyd Mayweather is doing a really good job. Oscar De La Hoya, who are now doing a lot of promotions and getting fighters fights. You've got to applaud these guys for keeping the sport going and putting their money into it. A lot of guys are also transitioning from boxing to MMA, so it's good to see that too. So I'm going to keep my eye on it, and we're going to go from there. 7:51. Let's move on here. I'm going to move into Trump troubles. Trump troubles, as you see there, President Donald Trump, lame duck President Donald Trump on the Rona wrecking ball. The Rona update was to add the RNC, Republican National Convention Chief of Staff, Richard Walters, and advisor Corey Lewandowski. Both these guys have now tested positive for COVID. Here's the funny thing, people. In the last month or so, almost everybody in the government that's gotten COVID is all Trump people, all people who didn't care about this stuff, all the people who thought this was fake and talked all this crap about it. And here's the funny thing, people, if you don't notice this. All of the people who talk crap about Dr. Fauci has had COVID. Yet, in the 8 months of us being under COVID, Dr. Fauci, who is on the verge of being fired, has yet to catch COVID-19. So, who do you really want to fire in this situation? Well, America already spoke, people. You've already fired that person. And there's some really crazy, sad stuff that's coming up in this Trump in regards to this COVID, but it is crucial. Peggy Galvin, I see you in the chat. What's going on? Mayor Kinney, in regards to this election, Mayor Kinney was talking in this election in regards to the Trump tweeting about the election being fixed and rigged for the Democrats and blah, 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 blah. Mayor Kinney said, hey, bro, it's not fixed. You know, here's the weird thing was Trump had the Supreme Court oversee these elections in some areas. Pennsylvania is one of the states where the Supreme Court ordered them to extend the voting period and counting of the votes and things of such. 3 of those people on the SCOTUS were Trump's conservatives. And Amy, she didn't even vote because she was just appointed, so she didn't even vote on it. But, again, the majority voted to extend Pennsylvania. So, to come out and bash Pennsylvania and say this and that, it pissed off Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kinney. And Jim Kinney had this to say. I'm going to pull up this here, and you guys can see this real quick. And let me play this for you. Jim Kinney, mayor of Philadelphia. Here you go.
Do you believe Joe Biden will be elected president of the United States? What do you see the vote?
Yes. I think what the president needs to do is, frankly, put his big boy pants on. He needs to acknowledge the fact that he lost, and he needs to congratulate the winner, just as Jimmy Carter did, just as George H.W. Bush did, and frankly, just as Al Gore did. And stop this and let us move forward as a country. And that's my feeling. I doubt he'll listen to me, but that's it. What we've seen on the streets outside this convention center was not anger or contention, but music, dancing, and celebration. As we predicted, the voters and residents of Philadelphia ensured that our city shined as an example of how to run an election correctly. So in the days ahead, please remember, this is not about a victory for a single candidate or a single political party. This is truly a victory for our democracy. That may sound cliche, but today it is oh so true. The votes will continue to be counted until every valid mail-in ballot, absentee ballot, and provisional ballot is counted. So while some, including the president, continue to spew baseless claims of fraud, claims for which his team has not produced one iota of evidence, what we have seen here in Philadelphia is democracy, pure and simple. Our founding fathers, who conceived this system just a 15-minute walk down the street, I know would be proud. 233 years after the Constitutional Convention, we stand at this convention center and proclaim the system still works, the people have spoken. And God willing, we will have a peaceful transition to power in January.
And that was courtesy of The Guardian, and that was Jim Kinney, mayor of Philadelphia, speaking out, telling Donald Trump to put his big boy pants on. We've got some breaking news, too. Krebs fired from Homeland Security Cybersecurity Division. Patrick Goldstone just shared that in the chat. Thank you very much. As we move along here, because I want to make sure we're off before around 8 o'clock. Also in Trump troubles, as you guys can see here, the $23 billion arms deal that's supposed to go down. Trump administration informs Congress of a intent to sell $23 billion in advanced weaponry to the UAE. That's the United Arab Emirates is what they call that. If you guys remember, President Trump was nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes for uniting 2 of the biggest war-factoring Arab countries. How funny is it that just months before he's out of here, he is trying to sell $23 billion in arms. Now, this is behind the scenes, is pissing off a lot of military people. Why? Why, people? And pay attention here. Because a sitting president never authorizes the sale of our advanced weaponry. We never put our top-of-the-line planes, weapons in the hands of those who may turn against us. We always want to stay ahead of the curve. This is crazy. This is ridiculous. And I hope Congress tells Trump to stick it where the sun don't shine. We are not about to sell our advanced weapon systems or anything of any sort to the Arabs. Never. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. And also, moving on, in the Trump Troubles booth, President Trump, now pay attention here, people. President Trump threatened to withhold this week the COVID-19 vaccine from New York because of his petty feud with Governor Cuomo. The reason why I'm mentioning this and bringing this up, because if you guys remember way back when we were in these hearings about Joe Biden and things like that of that sort, there was some talk of Trump threatening Ukraine and withholding funds from the Ukraine. And during that testimony, President Trump had said, I never did that. I would never do anything of the sort. I would never withhold funds from anybody. Okay. You would never withhold any funds from the Ukraine, yet right here, you're threatening to withhold a COVID-19 vaccine from U.S. American people in the biggest city in the country. Think about that, people. So the next set of people who come on my Facebook page and talk about President Trump and how he's this and how good he is at that, just remember, this guy just said he would block the vaccine from New York residents because of his petty beef with Mario Cuomo. That is just sheer, ultimate craziness, and I am so glad that he's a lame duck. I am just so glad. Elias Pitts, what's going on? Patrick Goldstone said Republicans temporarily blocked certification results from Wayne County, Michigan. Will now go to the state board. He's talking about the recount. Is there anything you wanted to add in here as I move on?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of petty that Donald Trump withheld vaccines just because he disdained Andrew Cuomo.
Yes. Yep.
Like Governor Cuomo. And little awkward, honestly. Just caring. I think it's just very petty, honestly. Very I don't know. It's kind of mind-boggling. I don't get it, honestly.
Yeah, and Andrew and Mario have been going at it with him. They've been really going at it with him behind the scenes, and it is crazy. And it's so crazy as we move on this weekend. Donald Trump has been coming after Fox. Now, I talked about this on this show. I talked about how when he labeled fake news on all these outlets that there was going to be a day of reckoning. He's going to label the wrong outlet, and it's going to come back to haunt him, and it's going to hurt him in the election. I called this months ago, almost a year ago, and what happened was that Fox had, I think it was Chris Matthews that did an interview with him about 2 months ago, and they had put up a poll, a pre-early poll, and they said that Biden was ahead. And Trump kind of lost his mind. It caught him off guard at the fact that Fox would even put up a poll that had Biden in the lead, because Fox was kind of his network along with his OAN network that he put money into. So he was pissed. And the next day he tweeted, fake polls, fake news, and this and that. Well, the Murdoch family, Rupert Murdoch, and I think the other son's name is Arian Murdoch, they remembered this. They remember this. And in my opinion, I think they kept that to themselves, and they waited. And they delivered some of the biggest FUs in political history through media. And one of those FUs was delivered by Fox the night of the elections, when Fox changed that Arizona to a projected win for Biden and put him at 264 electoral votes right when Trump and his team was about to go live on Fox. It threw the whole network in a tizzy. Everybody who watched this, they actually brought Murdoch's right-hand man out and tried to question him and ask him if it was a mistake, if this was an error. And he pretty much sat there and smiled and was like, no, it's not an error. We projected it, and this is what we got, and the numbers are way ahead. And they called it for Trump. That was a big FU. So now this weekend, Trump had tweeted out and said, Fox daytime ratings have completely collapsed. Weekend daytime even worse. Very sad to watch this happen, but they forgot what made them successful. What got them there? They forgot the golden goose. The ego of a person like this is just sheer ultimate craziness. The golden goose for Fox. I just can't put my hand around it. And Fox, right now, Fox is like that girlfriend who is dating an asshole, and every chick that's her friend is telling you, dating an asshole, you got to get out of this relationship. And Fox just stays with that asshole like the girl does. She just stays with him and stays with him. Then finally one day, ding, it clicks and she leaves him. That's what this relationship between Fox and Trump is. In layman's term, people, if you're trying to figure out, this is exactly what it is. Fox is that girlfriend who finally wakes up and realizes that she was with an asshole. Plain and simple. And that's it. That's all I got to say about that. Also, moving on in the Trump Troubles booth, in this Fox breakup, Tucker Carlson on Fox, he actually had went out there and he had said that there were dead voters in Michigan that had voted, and he had proof and this and that. Well, looks like Tucker Carlson was wrong. You lied. There wasn't. The voters actually turned up. They're actually alive. They were on TV this week, and Tucker Carlson had to go out and apologize that he messed up. He effed up. He lied. Fake news. people like Tucker Carlson, I don't know what's going to happen to him when Trump is finally out of office. I don't know if he's going to get dumped. I don't know what's going on. So, also in the news booth, Trump troubles. Trump supporters descended on Washington, D.C. this past weekend to defend the president despite defeat. They called it the MAGA Million March. The MAGA Million March, which to me was a slap in the face, and it was a mockery to the Million Man March, which happened in 95. And Kylie McEnany, she turned around and tweeted and said that there was over 100 million people in Washington, D.C. this past weekend. No, there wasn't. Stop lying. There wasn't. There wasn't over 100 million people in Washington, D.C. The numbers they said that turned out was between 8 and 10,000 who descended upon Washington this weekend for the MAGA rally. If you want to see what a million people look like, people, just go to YouTube, type in Million Man March 1995, and you'll see a million people in Washington, D.C. on the Million Man March in 1995, people. Also, during this rally, we had a group of supporters, Trump supporters, who were at this rally in Washington. I've got a quick clip that I got to show you guys before we round out this show. This is very disturbing here. I'm going to show it for you guys right now. Here it is. Pay attention. This is from Fox News at the MAGA rally this Saturday. Here we go.
I've talked to Republican Party leaders about this. I've said to them, you're going to be in office a long time after President Trump is. The Republican Party is going to long outlast all of us. Aren't you concerned about that? So that's what somebody's going to have to convince the president of. The president isn't a long-term thinker. They're going to have to convince him that it's in his own interest, and that is what he responds to. Like, what is in his interest?
We just saw a very disturbing sign. It said, "Coming for blacks and Indians, welcome to the New World Order." I mean, who the hell knows, what type of what people have and what they say on these things? But what do the Republicans tell you? When does the president start to perhaps give a different message, while others think he will never concede or will never give another type of message? And what do you say to the viewers watching right now who think that there is something wrong, that this election was stolen?
Wow. That is just ultimate craziness. As you guys saw there, right while they were broadcasting and doing this thing, blacks and Indians, New World Order, were coming for you. That's scary. That is scary to see that sign at a rally in 2020. But that's the narrative that's been pushed for the last 4 years. When you give someone that voice, they think that they can speak on that. Your thoughts on that? Being a young black man who's coming up, you really haven't had to go through some of the things that I've had to go through in my younger years. But seeing that to you, does that speak volumes to you as far as where, why we needed this change in the White House?
Yeah, we can just change the White House. It was kind of a corrupted, it was a bit of a corrupted term, the Donald Trump presidency. Just a lot of confusion in the White House, incompetence, mishandling. I believe Joe Biden will get the job done, honestly, for his next upcoming 4 years, starting in his inauguration day on January 20th. Joe Biden could do it, honestly. I think he'll make America better. But now I think America is in the better.
Yeah, we're in a definitely better place, and it was a scary time. I feel like we really needed to make this change. So we are at 8:07. I got to get ready to wrap this up. I got a couple of more things to talk about here. But as you guys saw, that MAGA rally this weekend, it didn't stop. Trump continued on with his lies. He actually was lying all over Twitter, and Twitter was not having it. Here's, as you guys can see here down below, one of Trump's tweets, the rejection rate of ballots and blah, blah, blah. Look, Trump, I just don't get it. This was one of his tweets, and as you guys can see down there, Twitter was all over it. It said that, there's some is not the proper evidence there of what you're saying, and they pretty much labeled You're lying.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my gosh. Stop fucking lying.
President Trump caught lying once again. And he also tweeted out, I won the election. I won the election. He tweeted this out, that he won the election. I just don't get it. I mean, really?
Yeah, Donald Trump is a narcissist, honestly.
Exactly.
He's a narcissist.
Exactly. And as you can see, multiple sources called this election differently. It means you're lying, Trump. You're lying.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
So, moving on one more time before we get out of here. He wanted to open up the consent decree in Georgia. Says Georgia won't let us look at all the important signatures that didn't match, I guess. He says, with that, the recount is meaningless. Open up unconstitutional consent decree now. Look, he's crazy. Again, he even tags Brian Kemp of Georgia in there, and Twitter is quick. This claim about the election fraud is disputed. Again, Trump, before we get out of here, one more time. I mean, this is just sheer craziness that he is going on like this. Let me just get this up here one more time for Mr. Trump.
Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
And that would be it, people. We are heading out here from the booth. I'm going to let Chris, I'm going to let you say your goodbyes first and tell everybody where they can find you and see you at next.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It was great to be on. You guys can catch me on, follow me on Instagram, ChrisBazile23, ChrisBazile 23. That's my Instagram page. That's where I do most of my interactions, and also Facebook, Chris Bazile. Other than that, Keith, thanks for having me on. It was great. Thank you.
No, good stuff. And I want to tell everybody, thanks for tuning in. I got to give big props out to Viana Marie, who did a show for the women's. It was the women's empowerment event this past weekend. She actually performed here at our secret location. No, it wasn't a secret location, but it was a new location. It was the new deck of the backyard. She performed this weekend, a 30-minute set, so it was a great time. So big ups to them. Thank you for them. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the chat and hanging out with us. And also now we are live on YouTube. So I want to make sure you guys check us out on YouTube and make sure to click that subscribe button. So before I let SpongeBob take us out of here, I'm going to make sure you guys know to YouTube and subscribe to us. But again, Chris, thanks for coming on the show, man. We got to get out of here. We got to go watch Maddie Cameron's Maddie C Sports for you and me. It's your boy Sinister One. We're out. I'll be back next week on the booth. Peace.
All right, we're clear. Thank you for listening to The Booth on Hoobazoo and HatcherRadio.com. Please follow the Facebook page and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The Booth is a Sinister One production hosted by Sinister One.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. These bitches hating, so you know I got to make it plain. Don't do cocaine, but your chick, my main. We stick together, true forever, yeah, you know we bang. I miss those days, which was easy. If only I make it, this shit don't repeat. Now that I done upgraded, I've been upstate, and y'all think I'm playing. And I got a hit now for these weak ass hoes who think I ain't slaying. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing, cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit, cause I got my own now. I get hurt, I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything, I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
WHOOBAZOO, that's Bazile.com. WHOOBAZOO.com.